Hi, everyone. Welcome. I know we're still seeing a few attendees pop in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to make a quick comment on Diana said anything sweet, and I feel that to my core for your favorite food. Anything sweet is great. I'll start off by congratulating you all on your admission to UC Davis and making it to our webinar as you navigate your next steps. We do have a few folks with us here today. So we'll take a moment to introduce ourselves as they're coming on camera. As you come up to introduce yourself, please tell us your name, background, either role or major, and a fun fact about yourself. I'll go ahead and start. I'm Ruby. I'm the outreach coordinator in the Dean's office. I primarily work with high school students and community college students on the application and admission process. So I may have seen some of you during fall recruitment. And then my fun fact is you'll always find Ben and Jerry's Coffee Buzz Buzz or Coffee Buzz Buzz in my freezer. There's never a moment where that's not in my freezer.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lane. I am the student engagement coordinator in the Dean's office. So I do a lot of event planning and hosting student events for the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. And a fun fact about me is I was a nutrition major in college, and my favorite labs, we got to do one where they put us in a scanner called a DEXA, and they could tell us what our bone density was, which was really neat. And then one where they had us eat we drank that orange glucose drink that they have pregnant women drink, and then we had to test our blood sugar for a 3-hour period and math it out.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Wong. I'm one of the undergraduate major advisors for the Department of Nutrition. My background is in nutrition as well, and I'm also a registered dietitian, and I'm new to UC Davis. And a fun fact about me, I recently kind of decided on my new favorite vegetable. Brussels sprouts have replaced broccoli as my favorite vegetable. I hope that's not too controversial, but that's a fun fact.
Hi, my name's Martha. I'm Esquita. I'm the other advisor in the Department of Nutrition. My background is in education. I don't know if it's a fun fact. It's a sad fact, maybe. I entered UC Davis as a music major, and after my first musical theory class freshman year, at the end of that class, I decided music was not for me, and spent the next 4 years kind of jumping around and studying a lot of different things, which was really fun and interesting, and I think kind of helped me be the person that I am today.
Hi, I'm Matthew O'Che. I'm a peer advisor for the nutrition major. I'm a clinical nutrition major, and I'll be in my I'm in my 4th year now, just finished. And a fun fact about me is my favorite music artist is Toby Lou. If you know who that is, you know what's up. If you don't know, you should get on that.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So you'll see some of us go on and off camera and audio throughout the presentation. And then some of us will come back on camera and audio for the live Q&A, while others of us will help behind the scenes. Before we jump in and get started, a few things about Zoom for you all, the webinar platform we're using. You'll probably want to play around for the next 50 minutes or so that we're on here with Zoom. As attendees, your audio and video is muted, or your video is off and your audio is muted. You can use the Q&A function at the bottom of the Zoom screen. You'll see an icon to ask questions. You can ask questions throughout the presentation, and this will help us keep a record of the questions you're asking for the Q&A portion later. We also have, like I said, advising staff working behind the scenes to help answer the questions as they come in. Just so you know, as attendees, you'll be able to see the questions and answers, but you can also ask the questions anonymously if you prefer. We also will not be using the raise your hand function, and we prefer not to use the chat function to answer any questions. So we started off with the chat function, but we are going to encourage you to use the Q&A throughout for any questions beginning now. As presenters, you'll see either Lane or Martha or one of us put in the chat any websites or group messages for all attendees. I think that's all I had to touch on about Zoom. So today's presentation will focus on getting to know the college and more specifically getting to know your major. You'll learn a little bit more about planning your first quarter, how to get ready for your advising appointment that's happening this summer. And then at the end, we'll plan to have a lot more time for Q&A. We'll also be posting this webinar online, so if you're not able to stay for the entire time, it will be online in the next day or so. Next up, we have Lane to talk a little bit about the network of support you have in our college.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruby. So as we pull up the next slide, before we jump into some of the major specific information we're going to cover today, I wanted to just review what we call the network of support. So as a student in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, you all have access to a lot of different types of advisors. So we've put up this sweet Venn diagram that kind of visually breaks it down. But to go through it a little bit, I want to talk about your major advisors who are able to help you with major specific questions. So if you're asking about what major related classes you should be taking, how to be mapping out your course schedule, what types of research or internship opportunities are available within your major, or if you have a specific interest and you want to find out if there is a faculty member who's interested in that same area, those would all be great reasons to check in with your major advisor. We also really hope that you access the undergraduate academic programs dean's office advisors, and they're going to be able to talk with you more generally if you have questions about the university or about opportunities within the college. Some of you may get in and reconsider the major that you've chosen, and that's okay. We want to be able to talk you through what would be a good fit for you and help you to kind of explore some of those other major possibilities. The dean's office is going to be able to talk about all of the college and general education requirements that you'll need to meet in order to earn your diploma. And so while the two offices have some different specializations, they also overlap a lot. And either one of those types of advisors is going to be able to help you with course selection, referring you to on-campus resources, helping you find co-curricular opportunities within the college. So don't be afraid to ask for help and to check out all the different advising types. You may also be presented with peer advisors, with which Matthew is on our panel today, so he can talk a little bit more about that. But peer advisors are UC Davis students that are trained to help with academic and other questions. And then to learn a little bit about the role of faculty advisors, who are experienced faculty members that can provide support in a specific major or area. So it's a lot of advisors. I know when I saw all those different types, I was like, how are students supposed to know where to go? And the reality is you can walk into any of those offices and they will get you connected to the right people and point you in the right direction. So I'm going to move on and bring up Jason Wong, who is the department advisor for nutrition, and he's going to share some specific information about the clinical nutrition and nutrition sciences majors.
As you your journey with us, I'm sure you have many questions about your major, about what classes to take, what you can do with a degree in nutrition, where to find more information, and how to speak with an advisor. So hopefully in these next few slides, I'll answer many of your questions. So if you want to find more information, you can visit the Department of Nutrition. Our webpage is at nutrition.ucdavis.edu. So why study nutrition? I'm a nutrition student. I didn't go to UC Davis, but I did study nutrition. I could probably come up with a dozen different reasons. But if you love science and want a career where you can make a difference in people's lives, the website, The Balanced Careers, came up with a list of top jobs for people who want to save the world. Dietitian was actually ranked 3rd, and they cited dietitians and really nutritionists in general are able to treat and prevent chronic diseases in the community. So it's a way of pursuing a career that does allow you to serve your community. Another reason could be the emerging science of nutritional genomics. It's showing us that our diets can actually alter gene expression. So those yummy things that you put in your mouth can actually have a profound effect on our bodies. So that's another exciting reason to study nutrition. And lastly, it's just fun to talk about food. Who doesn't like to talk about food? And certainly studying nutrition will give you an opportunity to do that. As far as majors, we do have 2 majors within the department. There's clinical nutrition. The other is nutrition science. Within nutrition science, there are 2 different options. There's the nutritional biology option, as well as a nutrition and public health option. Both majors will lead to a degree in lead to a bachelor's of science degree. The things they have in common is that you'll be taking classes in biology, general, organic, and biochemistry. So we hope that you like chemistry. There's also microbiology, human physiology, genetics. There'll also be some foundational courses in nutrition involving metabolism, recommendations, assessments, and diseases. What are those differences? So you have these options within the department. Let's talk about them. So for the clinical nutrition major, you'll be taking classes in food chemistry, clinical nutrition practicum, food production, food service management, and organizational management. With nutritional biology, you'll be taking some calculus, physics. There'll be 2 extra lab classes where if you are interested in doing research, you can get more experience in that area. Some of the additional classes include molecular and biochemistry, gastrointestinal physiology, and cellular regulation and nutritional toxicants. Nutrition and public health, you'll have opportunities to take classes in economics, community nutrition, epidemiology. You'll also have some elective options, so you can choose classes that you find most interesting, and those categories listed there. And what are some possible career paths? Some of you may be entering nutrition because you're interested in becoming a registered dietitian. If you're interested in pursuing that route, you'll want to major in clinical nutrition. It allows you to become a clinical dietitian. Clinical nutrition majors can also pursue careers in food service management, also community nutritionists. Nutritional biology gives you an opportunity to explore careers in nutrition research, become a research assistant, and also pursue a career in health professions. So if you're thinking about becoming a physician or a nurse or a physician assistant, any of those health professions, you'll find that a lot of those prerequisite classes are built into the nutritional biology option. Students who pursue nutrition and public health may be interested in becoming nutrition educators, also community health educators, and possibly a public health professional. Where can you find information as you kind of begin this process of searching for classes, thinking about what to take? So hopefully you're all familiar with the college's new students page. You were linked to it from Aggie 101, so hopefully you've had an opportunity to explore. We'd recommend that you spend some time and go back. There is a lot of important information about placement exams, AP and IB charts, and then orientation events. So if you don't remember much, we do recommend that you go back and review that page. To find more specific information about nutrition information, so as you pick classes, this page will give you some recommendations. We're actually going to spend some time reviewing the page. So let's go on. So hopefully you've had a chance to browse through the page already, kind of highlights the important information. We give you links to calendars. Deadlines are really important, so it is important that you review those calendars, make sure you have those dates written down in your calendars. We do have recommendations, so I'm sure a lot of questions you may have relate to what classes you're going to take in your first quarter. So we've broken it down. So for all of you high school admits, we do recommend that you take between 12 and 14 units, and that's approximately 3 to 4 classes. You do want to keep in mind that this is going to be your first quarter at UC Davis, so it's going to be an adjustment. There's going to be new people, a new environment. We're on the quarter system, which is pretty fast paced. So you want to give yourself an opportunity to kind of adjust in your first quarter. And then we've kind of made some recommendations in terms of classes. So for those of you who haven't satisfied your entry-level writing requirements, you will probably want to do that in your first quarter. So putting that into your schedule. If you have, you may consider taking your English composition requirements, although that's a requirement in your first quarter. Another important class is chemistry. Chemistry is a prerequisite for a lot of other classes in the major, so you'll want to make sure you sign up for the appropriate chemistry class. You'll want to take the chemistry placement exam, and based on the exam, it will recommend a course that's appropriate for you. So that could be Chem 2A, that could also be a workload 41C. So based on your score, you do want to take the appropriate chemistry class. And then you also have an opportunity to take some additional classes. So have a chance to choose an elective. And for you nutrition science majors, you may want to take Nutrition 10. That's our introductory nutrition. That's a requirement for nutrition science. If you're clinical nutrition, that's not a requirement, so you wouldn't necessarily take that as a clinical nutrition major. And then you may consider taking a second elective, but that will depend on how many units you're at. You may get to 12 to 14 units with just 3 classes, and that's pretty common with just 3 classes. But if you do have room for an additional elective, you can consider a class there. We do recommend a non-science, so maybe taking a general education class that's not necessarily science specific, if you do have room for a 4th class. For transfer admits, again, the recommendations are pretty similar. That is 12 to 14 units, and that's 3 to 4 classes again. The exact classes will depend on what you completed at your previous institution. So those science classes are particularly important. So general chemistry, organic chemistry, and your biology courses. So if you haven't completed those, you'll want to do that as soon as you can. If you're not sure about whether you've completed those, one of the things that we have done as major advisors is that we have evaluated those classes and talking shortly about how to get that evaluation. So we've looked through your classes and we've determined whether they're equivalent to the classes we have at UC Davis. So we'll be contacting you about that. For some of you who have completed those science prerequisites, you may be ready for those upper division classes in your major. And we have a link here that will direct you to our sample 4-year plans. So if you're eligible for those 3rd year classes, you may be considered taking those in your first quarter. And again, we'll be contacting you, and if you do have any questions about that, and I'm sure you do, you can meet with us major advisors to talk more about what classes are appropriate. We also have some information about reminders, so reminders about registration and classes. We also have information on major advising. So Martha and I are major advisors for the Department of Nutrition, and we've actually assigned you a specific advisor. So if your last name is between A through LH, your major advisor is Martha. If your last name is between LI to Z, I will be your major advisor. So when you do make your advising appointments, you want to make sure you do it with the correct advisor. We also have a team of peer advisors. Lane talked about this briefly, and they're all current nutrition students, and they're a great resource if you have questions about specific classes, or if you want to learn about study strategies with specific classes. They're great folks to talk to. We also provided some information about our advising hours. So just want to make sure when you do make your appointments, you can see what hours were available. Ways to get involved. I'm going to touch on this in a couple minutes, so I'll get back to that. And we also have those 4-year plans, so you can look through your 4-year plans. We also have major checklists, and then links to information if you are going to go to one of those health professions. So let's go back to PowerPoint. So I talked about getting involved. So we do have a lot of opportunities to get involved. So believe it or not, we do have over 800 clubs and organizations on campus. So there's lots of opportunities to get involved. If you're interested in getting involved in a nutrition-related club, we do have a Student Nutrition Association. These pictures here are from some of the events and meetings for the club. And then if you're interested in getting involved in getting some professional work experience, we also have an internship and career center as well. And then I'm going to bring Lane back, and she's going to talk about opportunities with the college.
Hey guys, so one of the coolest things about going to a 4-year university and is really diving in and getting connected to the college. And so the Dean's Office offers a lot of programs, clubs, and events that will help you to connect with staff and leadership in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, and also to branch out and meet students from a variety of majors. So these are some pictures from just a couple of the different events and programs that we offer. You can see our Aggie ambassadors. They do a lot of outreach, community service, and promotion for the college. And so these are students from all different majors. They get to travel to different FFA and World Ag Expo events, as well as go to recruitment fairs at high schools. And so this is them at a high school just promoting UC Davis. We have Manners, which is the multiculturalism in agriculture and naturally related sciences. And this is a group that promotes diversity in the academic and career fields related to agriculture. Career discovery groups are a great opportunity for new students in the college to start exploring different career paths with a mentor from Career Services. And then we highly encourage you to follow CAES students on Facebook and Instagram, because we also have events that happen every quarter. So next fall, be on the lookout for our ice cream social, our study break during finals week, Slice of Advising, which is a chance to have pizza and talk with some of the Dean's Office advisors in a really informal setting. So reach out if you're curious about any of those programs to anyone in the Dean's Office. We can tell you more. And just don't hesitate that first quarter to jump in and start exploring some of these different opportunities. So I'm going to bring Jason back up to talk about what your next steps are as a student.
So what are these next steps? Now that you've learned a little bit of information about your major and classes, it is to come see us. In Aggie 101, you're directed to make an individualized appointment. That will be your Aggie advising appointment. So you'll have a chance to speak with a major advisor. I mentioned earlier about peer advisors. Once you meet with a staff advisor, you'll also have opportunities to meet with a peer advisor as well. You do want to meet with your staff major advisor. If you have any questions, it's a great opportunity to ask. We may not be able to answer all of your questions, but we'll definitely direct you to someone who can best answer your questions. Before you come to your appointment, you definitely want to spend some time reviewing some of the information I went over. So reviewing the college's new students page, information about placement exams and those AP and IB charts. Definitely want to look over our department new student page and scheduling recommendations. And the Aggie advising appointments will begin starting tomorrow. Some of you have already made your appointments. If you haven't, we will do it as soon as you can. And then just remember that the registration will begin in August. So high school admits, you'll begin in early August. Transfer students, you'll do it soon after that. You will be emailed information about your registration time. We call them pastimes at UC Davis. So that's something to look forward to. When you do make your appointments, you do want to go to appointments.ucdavis.edu. You can also find a link from the new students page. So when you click on the appointments link, it will allow you to make an appointment. It'll show you our availability. Appointments are available by phone or video conference, so you can indicate whether you prefer one or the other. And then you can just make sure you're aware of those appointment hours again. So it's 9 to 12, and we do take a lunch break, and then from 1 to 4 p.m. Yeah, let's move on to questions.
All right, awesome. So I see that many of you have already used the question and answer function. This is your time. If you have not submitted questions, or if you have, go ahead and click on that Q&A function and start to type in questions. I'm going to request that our panelists, so Matthew and Jason, turn on video and audio, and then we'll kick it off with the first question for either Martha or Jason. Martha, you clicked that you would like to answer this live, so feel free to jump on audio and share. When do we decide between the two different majors of nutrition?
So if you're coming in as a freshman student, clinical nutrition majors start differentiating their classes pretty much fall quarter of their junior year. So you have 2 years to do your lower division preparatory classes, your general chemistry, organic chemistry, and biological sciences. And then in 3rd year, you should definitely decide between clinical nutrition or the nutrition science paths. If you, for some reason, it takes you a little longer than fall quarter, just please feel free to check in with your advisor, and we will create an updated graduation plan for you. But obviously, the earlier that you can decide whether you want to be a dietitian or not, because if you do decide to be a dietitian, we would recommend that you complete the clinical nutrition major, because it includes all those course requirements that are required to pursue a dietetic internship that's required after graduation.
Awesome. Thank you, Martha. Jason or Matthew, anything to add from either another advisor perspective or the student perspective on that? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question.
No, no.
Oh. I think Matthew might be frozen. But we'll come back to that. So in the meantime, Jason, question for you. Is there a deadline to do Aggie 101?
You do want to make your appointments before July 31st. Yeah, since you'll be registering for classes in August, you definitely want to make your appointments before then, so we can talk about your questions, concerns. So before the 31st, and you can make your appointment now. And like I said, students have already made appointments.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Matthew, a question for you. Martha answered this already, but from a student perspective, do you have recommendations for laptops or tech for the nutrition specific majors?
For tech specifically, I would suggest getting like an iPad or a tablet to write notes, because it makes it very easy to keep track of everything that you're doing for. I don't have one, but everyone that I talk to has some sort of tablet to keep track of their notes. Along with like a laptop specifically, a MacBook would also be helpful. Or if you can't afford a MacBook, a Lenovo is also a really good brand to try to keep track of all your notes, texts, and PDF files.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. And then Jason, what happens if a student does not pass the math or chem placement test?
So the math placement exam is not a requirement for the major. We do recommend that you do take it. If you're in nutritional biology, you will be required to take calculus. So if you are pursuing that option, you definitely want to take the placement exam. And for the chemistry, you just, like I said, it is a placement exam. So it's not a pass-fail type exam. So you'll place into one of those courses. And we do kind of recommend taking those courses. As I mentioned during my presentation, you do want to take your chemistry class in your first quarter if you can.
Okay, and Jason or Martha, another question for you all. I'm seeing a couple of different questions about appointments. Jason, you kind of covered this during the presentation, but can you give a brief summary of when students are able to schedule appointments and how they go about scheduling their appointment?
Yeah, I mentioned you can make those appointments now. So I gave you the address. I mentioned there's a link on the new students page. So if you click on it, it'll take you to the appointments page, and you just indicate nutrition and indicate the appropriate advisor. So whether that's me or Martha.
Awesome, thanks, Jason. Matthew, again, from the student and peer advisor perspective, can you share with the students if there's some sort of guide where you can plan out the year? The student mentions that they know that there's Schedule Builder, but something more like a guide or example that would help them.
So we offer 4-year plans that'll help you guide from the very start of your freshman year all the way until your senior year, which will help you decide which classes to take and give you an idea when to take your GE courses. Along with trying to decide exactly what class to take, I would have suggest seeing a peer advisor like myself in person or on Zoom to decide which classes to take and give you a deeper perspective on each different class.
Awesome, thank you. And then Matthew, this is a question for you again. And then Jason, if you have things to add, please feel free to jump in. What are the research opportunities available for a nutrition science major?
So when there's research opportunities, there's numerous, in my opinion. Pretty much every single faculty member has their sort of research opportunities. You just have to go out, find a professor and see who is doing something interesting that you also want to, and then get in touch with them and see if they're offering undergraduates to take up research positions under them. And then through the nutrition advising, we also constantly send out emails about different opportunities of professors looking for people to work in their research department as well.
Thank you, Matthew. Jason, anything to add about research opportunities or just extracurricular opportunities available that we weren't able to cover in the presentation?
I think Matthew covered it. Maybe Martha has something to add to that.
What was the question again?
What are some of the research or extracurricular opportunities available to nutrition science or clinical nutrition majors that we haven't necessarily covered?
So the Internship and Career Center on campus will post different types of internships that are available. There are also student jobs that can involve nutrition education. We will post information on our Instagram. If we have faculty, especially that are looking for students to work in their labs, students are also encouraged to contact faculty directly if they really are interested in getting some research experience, and they look at the faculty information page on our website, and are interested in the specific research that a faculty person is doing, we would encourage them to contact that faculty person directly. And if the faculty person isn't necessarily that quarter accepting students, they could at least tell them when they might, when's the next quarter that they might be looking for people to work in the labs.
Awesome. Thank you, Martha. So one of the questions that we're seeing is about how will orientation and advising be altered due to COVID? Jason and/or Matthew, do you all want to take that question?
We're available for advising remotely. So as I mentioned earlier, we have phone appointments or video conference appointments. So we're not physically in our offices, so you can't come by and see us. So, but when you do make your appointments, we can connect via phone or via video conference, and we can talk that way.
And something else I will add is if you are following along on the ucdavis.edu webpage, admissions is putting out COVID FAQs and updates pretty regularly and weekly. And then our chancellor is also providing weekly updates on fall quarter. So I'll ask Lane to go ahead and put some of those links in the chat with you all, or for you all as well. Another common question we're getting is, how will the advising appointment work? And then where do they make the appointment and when will they get the link? So Jason, I know you covered a little bit about this again, but we're seeing it pop up again. So how does the advising appointment work and what the format is? Where do they make the appointment and when will they get the link?
So I talked about the link. It was on one of the previous slides. So that's appointments.ucdavis.edu. And I mentioned the new students page has sort of a link in the top right-hand corner, so you could find it there as well. As far as appointments, I'm not sure if we have a specific format for doing it. We really give you an opportunity to ask questions. There'll be things we'll go over. We'll probably ask you kind of your interest in nutrition, maybe about your career goals. We'll ask you kind of what your plans are. Every appointment's always a little bit different. We're happy to sit down with you and talk to you and answer whatever questions you may have.
Okay, and then the next question, Matthew, this one's for you. What are restricted electives?
For restricted electives are, depends on which restricted electives, because with restricted electives, with the nutrition science public health option, there are different categories where you would find in your, not major, but into your classification of nutrition public health, just as community and outreach, just as that. And there's also nutrition restricted electives, which is specifically for all nutrition majors, which would be like different electives that you would take outside of your required classes for nutrition.
Okay, awesome. And then Jason, are the chances of getting the classes students want lower because their pastimes are later than other colleges?
That will depend. It's definitely, if you aren't able to get into a class, you definitely want to get on the wait list if you can. And usually once the quarter begins, people may be admitted from the wait list. But I encourage all students, if you're interested in taking a class, signing up. If you can't get in right away, you do want to just get on the wait list. And then keep in mind that there's different sections for classes. It's in kind of our reminders that some of those sections are more popular than others. So if you can't get into a more popular section, you may want to try maybe some of the earlier morning ones or the later afternoon sections. Those tend to be less popular. So as you're trying to pick those classes, you may try to identify some of those sections that you have kind of a better chance of getting into.
Thank you. So we have a couple of questions about health-related careers, whether that's nursing or physician's assistant. Can either Jason, Matthew, or Martha talk a little bit about how students would go about pursuing a career in healthcare with either clinical nutrition or nutrition science?
So personally, I'm a clinical nutrition major, but I have hopes to become a physician assistant in the future. So with another peer advisor just graduated just last year, also was a clinical nutrition major, and they also had hopes to be a physician assistant. So if you're looking for that, clinical nutrition is also a good major, but also nutrition science biology is a great major as well, just because they have so much more lab experience as compared to clinical nutrition, which would be great in a healthcare standpoint.
And then Jason or Martha, anything to add to how students would look at potential careers in healthcare?
Yeah, we do have another advising office on campus, Health Professions Advising. So if you are thinking about entering a health profession, and I know some of you are interested but not sure exactly what health profession to get into, that's a great resource. Again, that's Health Professions Advising, or HPA, and they have advisors there who can help. So if you know you want to get into a particular area, you may want to reach out to an advisor from that office.
Awesome. And hopefully Lane can share a link in the chat to Health Professions Advising in just a little bit. Some of the questions we're seeing are also about placement exams. Where can students find information about scores and next steps? And is there a possibility to retake the placement exam, Jason?
So those can be kind of individual questions. I have things kind of bookmarked, but as far as finding more information, the links are actually on the college's new students page. So I mentioned that earlier. So there are links on there where you can find out more information about the placement exams. And then, it'll tell you a little bit more information just based on your score, where you would place, and then opportunities to retake the exam if you do decide to retake the exam.
Thank you, Jason. So you'll see that the slide is up. The question slide is still up, and you'll see our general dean's office email, as well as the nutrition advising email. If you do have some specific questions, you can save them for your appointment, but if you don't get them all answered during your appointment and would like to ask more questions specifically about your placement exams and your personal score, you can always email those two emails. I would probably start with nutrition if you have questions about your placement exams, but if you have general questions, those can be directed to the caesadvising@ucdavis.edu email as well. So there are a couple of questions about do we know if science courses with labs will be online for fall? Jason, do you want to take that question? Or Martha, I see you just unmuted. Would you like to take that question?
So I think we haven't gotten an official notification, but I think what the campus is planning, what is likely to happen is that large lectures will probably be online. And so that will be your chemistry, biology courses, because you can have 500 students in a chemistry class. So more than likely those lectures will be online, but there may be a possibility where discussions and labs may still be in person, since those sections are 25 people or less, as well as, English classes. So that's, I think, the expectation. I mean, Ruby, if you've heard something different, or yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think what Martha has said is what admissions is kind of putting out as well. And then the updates that are coming through the chancellor's office are that right now they are looking at all possible options. We do know that there will be classes that are available online, and that there will be as much as possible in-person modifications. But I think what we don't know what we don't know. And so that's why I encourage you all to follow along as things are unfolding on both the chancellor updates and the admission FAQs that Lane posted in the chat. I think those do a really good job of providing consistent updates each week about what fall will look like, and we're anticipating more direction about the fall in the next month or so.
I also want to address a lot of the questions that we're getting. There seems to be a lot of questions about the chemistry placement exams, the what should they be doing? So like Jason said, the focus of the placement exam is, taking the class that you're ready for, taking the class that you place into. So if you do not test into Chem 2A, we would say, take the workload 41C class that'll be offered in the fall. Yes, you can choose to do the ALEKS online that the chemistry department also publicizes, and that's to help you prepare and then retake the placement exam in order to test into Chem 2A. So that's one route of doing it. Or like I said, if you don't place into Chem 2A, just go ahead and take the workload class in the fall. So we want to just encourage students to take the class that they placed into. Yes, I think it's a good idea to take ALEKS if that's an option for you. And that gives you something to do over the summer and to prepare for chemistry. Let's see. We had some questions about the RD process. Someone asked whether or not they would need to have a master's degree. That's kind of the expectation. It's a very difficult process to get accepted into a dietetic internship after graduation. And so the master's is going to be expected for 2024. So especially for transfer students, a lot of times the expectation is, well, I'll be here for 2 years, graduate with my clinical nutrition degree, and then automatically get placed into a dietetic internship after graduation. And, I'll be able to avoid getting a master's degree in order to be a dietitian. And the reality is that a lot of times students need additional work experience after graduation. So I think at this point, we're telling transfer students or freshmen to kind of expect to complete a master's if their overall goal is to be a dietitian. Jason, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Another question that we're seeing is, there are various versions of this. Can new students be taking summer session or online classes this summer?
So I would encourage students who are considering that to discuss that first with their major advisor. A lot of the questions that we're getting on the Q&A, and I had checked last night, a lot of students haven't done the Aggie 101 yet. And so a lot of these kind of questions about registration and the online tools that we have like OASIS, they're not familiar with because they haven't gone through Aggie 101. Again, the questions about chemistry placement, those answers will be on the chemistry placement website as well. Are there any other questions, Ruby, that you see that we should answer live?
I do. So there's one more that is it possible to complete both the public health route and all the registered dietitian prerequisites? So
we limit our classes, dietetic classes, to clinical nutrition majors. So no, we would say anyone who is considering being a dietitian, they should just declare the clinical nutrition major. The first chance that you can do this officially would be at the end of winter, in winter quarter, at the end of fall quarter, assuming that you're in good academic standing, which is just a 2.0.
Awesome. Thank you, Martha. And so I know we're coming to kind of a close for the hour that we had for you all. And there are still lots of open questions. I want to reassure you that you'll have time to talk to your major advisor during your appointment. So what we've heard is your next step kind of is completing Aggie Advising 101 prior to your appointment if you have not already. And then a lot of these questions that you all have can be answered. But I'll start with Matthew. Any words of wisdom as a graduating senior that you want to impart on these incoming students, or just things to be aware of?
This is in high school, so it's going to be a lot tougher. It's going to be a rough transition, but I believe in all of you. stay focused, stay healthy, and you're all going to do great.
Thank you, Matthew. And then any last words from Jason or Martha about preparing for appointments or anything that you want to leave the students with?
I mentioned preparing for those appointments, so definitely just reviewing that information that's already on those web pages. And we really do want to talk to you individually. Sometimes there are individual cases. So when you ask questions, the answer can be depending on your own situation. So we're available during the summer. I look forward to getting to know all of my students. So make those appointments, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, awesome. Martha, any last thoughts?
Yeah, just kind of to reemphasize what you've said, which is they will be meeting with us as advisors. They will have that individual one-on-one, and so if they have specific questions, we'll be able to answer them. For transfer students, we do a lot of review before we actually meet with students, so we know what they've taken, what we've counted, and what their sample grad plan will be like. And for freshmen, I would say, do Aggie 101, be aware of your AP scores, whether your AP scores counted for prereqs or not. But again, we'll be there to answer those questions during your appointment.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you to our wonderful panelists. Thank you, Lane, for holding it down in the chat. If you haven't already, go ahead and take a picture or a screenshot of the slide that is up there so you have all this information even after the webinar. The panelists are going to go ahead and turn off their videos, and they're going to take a few moments to clear out some of these questions. As many as we can in the next couple of minutes that we have for the webinar. I'll just leave you all with, we are very excited to have you join the Aggie family, whatever that does look like in the fall. And just know that if you have a lot of questions and you're in a space of trying to navigate all of this, we are here to help. And that's what Aggie Advising and Aggie Advising will be for. Have a good one. Bye.